Because of coronavirus, you are going to be quarantined, but you have a choice. Do you A, quarantine with your wife and child, or B?
B.
Hopefully you're not feeling option 2 if you're married right now watching this video. You are about to see a 2-segment video from the marriage team, at least part of the marriage team. And we want you to watch it, and hopefully we can give you some tools during this quarantine or shelter in place that will help you in your marriage, because we know this, that marriage is already hard enough. And now we know, according to statistics and what's going on in the U.S., marriages are even under more stress than ever before. And so we don't want that to be the case with you. We want you to thrive. We want you to succeed. We want you to go beyond when this whole thing is over, that your marriage, you can look back and say, man, God was good during this time. So check out this part 1 of the video, see what you learn, and add those tools to your tool belt. Church, we love you. God bless. See you soon.
Hey, church. Good to see ya. We are here recording a video to speak to all you couples out there on the subject of marriage. And we have some marriage experts here besides myself. No, I'm just kidding. This is my beautiful wife, Carly, in case if you do not know who she is. And then we have the Delcors. This is Kristen, this is Tina. And we all get the opportunity to be 2 of the 5 couples that we have on our marriage team here at Crossroads. And it's such a blessing to be able to minister here at Crossroads. I think we've been doing it for I think 6 or 7 years. And so anyway, on the subject of marriage, we wanted to come and talk to you a little bit about struggles, because not only is this entire nation and a lot of people struggling with this whole COVID-19, one of the byproducts of that is marriages are struggling. I just read a recent article that said that marriages are in big time trouble. In fact, as far as divorce goes, there have been a record number of filings for divorce. And you know why that is because all these couples who are not used to being with one another are together all the time. And so we want to give you some tips. While we were talking, Tina, you had mentioned a couple things in your own marriage that you were kind of hit across the head with. And so share that with us.
Sure. Well, I think like a lot of you out there, we all have these new environments we're in now, where maybe part of you were working part-time and are now home, full-time, or those dynamics are all different across the board. But now I find myself home with my college student and my high school student and my husband, who are home 24/7. And that is something that I have had to really come to grips with. It's not something that I'm used to. I've struggled with that. I've just kind of had to bring it before the Lord and kind of look at getting a new godly perspective on things, because it's been a struggle for me. I need a little bit of space from my family at times, and having everybody there, I felt a little bit claustrophobic. But I'm getting used to it, and I'm just trying to embrace it for what God has for us right now in this time, that He would just use me in this moment however He can.
Yeah, good. Well, what we would like to do is give you some tips. We each are going to take one, and these tips are to implement, use as tools in your marriage during this time. Let me just preface this by saying we are not the experts, and we don't do all these things ourselves, and we're different in our relationships, in our marriages, and so if we can just be a blessing to you in that way, that would be great. So Tina, you just spoke, but we're going to go with you first. So give us your first tip.
Sure. I just want to talk a little bit about how we can spiritually grow together. And I think first of all, I need to just make the comment that in order for us to do that, we need to make sure that we're communicating and connecting with each other well. If we're not talking, obviously we're not going to be able to spiritually grow together very well. So one of the things is be honest about your struggles. As I was just mentioning about my situation at home with everyone being home, we got to get used to, I look at Chris, he's in terms of love languages, he's a touchy-feely kind of person. Physical touch is his thing, and now his wife's home 24/7, so that's a really cool thing for him. But his wife's kind of like, I need a little space here. My love language is quality time, but that doesn't mean necessarily quality time at home. I like to go away and do things with my husband, and so I've had to be flexible with that need and realize how can we make that happen within our home. And he, on the other hand, has had to be flexible with knowing that just because I'm home 24/7 doesn't mean that his needs are met 24/7. So there's a little bit of compromise that's going on there. Also, again, I mentioned too, is just trying to have a godly perspective. It's like, how can God use us right now in our home to just, love on each other and be a light to each other, to our kids, and to one another as well. Also, secondly, I want to make sure that we're working on growing individually, spiritually as well, because if we're not doing that alone, then it's hard to do that, as a couple. So take that opportunity to find some quiet time at home, to be in the Word, to be in prayer, and then, share with your spouse what you're learning as you're reading the Bible, and as God may be showing you something, share that with your spouse. Some other things that, that you can do to specifically try to work at growing spiritually together is to pray together. Yeah. I know a lot of people find that works really well for them, and it doesn't have to be anything lengthy. It can be just a couple minutes. It can be anytime whatever it works for you guys, but taking that time to pray together is one thing. Another thing you can do is to read a devotion. Again, you can find them, there's books, you can find things online. There's Focus on the Family. There's Family Life where you can go on. There's resources all on there for short devotions, for longer, even just for topical information if you're looking for that kind of stuff. One of the other things is working on a marriage study together. We are doing that currently. We've had a book that we've had for a couple years that we keep going back to, and now we're revisiting it again, taking that opportunity to hopefully work through that while God provides us this time. And one other thing is just to look for opportunities to serve a neighbor, a friend, or someone in need together as you are led to do that. With all that, remember to be patient, be flexible with one another, have grace, be forgiving. And in Matthew 22:37-40, it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. That's the first and greatest commandment. The second is to love your neighbor as yourself. Well, your spouse is your neighbor. So if we work on just loving our spouse that way, like Jesus loves us, we're on the right foot.
Yeah. It's good stuff, Tina. Yeah. We should have you preach sometime.
Yeah, right.
So I'll go ahead and go next. Build and fortify your relationship. Use this time specifically to do that. This is so important. We've got a lot of time on our hands. Read, like she said, read a marriage book together, but also write your spouse a card. Take the time to pin a card or a letter and put it in the mail so that when your spouse goes to the mailbox, boom, there you go. Another one is practice giving words of affirmation. That is so important. I can't tell you in marriage counseling how many times I've heard either the husband or the wife say, he or she never tells me anything good about myself, and I don't really know how he or she feels, when the other spouse is like, what are you talking about? I say I love you every night. But look for opportunities to affirm your spouse. Practice being thankful, whether it's a meal or when's the last time you said, hey, babe, thanks for doing my laundry, or thanks for giving me a back massage every night like my wife does. No, she doesn't do that. But anyway, next is go on a walk or bicycle ride together. It is just, it's so fun to do things together, and that builds your relationship. Practice kindness. That is something I say in every single marriage ceremony I do, wedding ceremony, is be kind at all times. So practice kindness. We understand that during this time that we fight and we have arguments, and so be quick to reconcile. I love what Bruce always says. He says, when two people are at odds, let the more mature one move first. If you move first, don't tell your husband or wife that you're the more mature one, though, okay? And then praise one another daily. Not just about, and I learned this a long time in our marriage, not just about looks, but about qualities that you see in your spouse. And so build and fortify your relationship.